Good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. My name is David Dunmoyer with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, here in support of SCR 13. I want to give a bit of historical context before I dive into some of the consequences of what we're discussing here today, because it's relevant to the prior testimony and these actions in this resolution. So for centuries, there have been treaties governing the relations between Mexico and the U.S. We can look back to the 19th century treaties of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Gadsden, the 1906 Convention, and all of these established relations and cooperation on shared managed resources between Mexico and the United States. Now, by the mid-20th century, there was enough growth agriculturally, population-wise, and relations between Mexico and the U.S. indicated that a formal agreement was necessary, thus necessitating and catalyzing the 1944 treaty we're discussing here today. There were two major items that catalyzed this treaty, which is important to consider. One is the optimization of a shared resource to prevent any future water disputes from arising. And second, political cooperation during World War II to foster continued cooperation amidst global disarray. So more specifically, this engineered a mechanism to establish enduring diplomacy between these two nations. And the language of the treaty says as much, asserting it was, quote, animated by the sincere spirit of cordiality and friendly cooperation which happily governs the relations between them. Now, we've heard about the requirements, so I won't hit on that again, but I want to emphasize the non-compliance that is not just in this cycle, but dates back to the 1990s. So beginning in 1992 to the 97 water cycle, that 5-year period, Mexico was short approximately 1 million acre-feet of water. 1997 to 2002, Mexico was short an additional 304,000 acre-feet. 2010 to 2015, short another 263,000 acre-feet. And where we are today, 7 months out from the conclusion of this 2020 to 2025 period, Mexico is in arrears about 1 million acre-feet of water. So the point with this is that this centuries-old spirit of cooperation and cordiality is broken. And it's not sufficient grounds to say that water scarcity and shortages in Mexico is reason enough for them not to comply with this. As we've already heard, and I'll continue to elucidate, there is a corrupt regime managing water resources in certain areas of Mexico that is depriving Texas and the U.S. of its property. Consider the following. Crime groups have infiltrated the public water system in numerous Mexican cities, imposing their own people in offices that oversee irrigation. Farmers that are allied with a cartel or criminal organizations pay little to nothing for water, whereas those who aren't allied are assessed an extra tax. Mexican cartels have seized ownership over water they can get their hands on, and this is surface water, rivers, creeks, streams, and even the hijacking of water trucks, literally any water they can get their hands on. After all, the cartel capitalizes on chaos. Their power demands it, and so they supply it. Because Mexico is facing water shortages and uncertainty, water is becoming more and more of a major cash crop. And the criminal organization business model for this is twofold. They keep their citrus and avocado farms and wheat and poppy fields irrigated and broker the supply of waters to farmers and other Mexicans who are often left bone dry with bone dry land. So in Mexico, as the cartel seize control of the agricultural supply chains, it also seizes the water necessary for us to produce our own crops here, making us reliant on foreign terrorist organizations for the trade of fruit coming in here. I want to take a second. We're talking about the state fruit of Texas, the grapefruit, and becoming reliant on a foreign terrorist organization based on their noncompliance with this treaty. And here's another important point. Cartel members that are seizing control of water leave the innocent Mexican farmers, as the chairman pointed out, with no water themselves. There was a story in Chihuahua the summer of 2021. The state declared that 100% of their crops were dead. And so the farmers rightfully went into survival mode and took to protesting their government, protesting that they don't deliver water to the US of A. So this is further uncertainty and further water shortages for deliveries. 2 wins for the cartel. So this resolution is a critical start. We need to take a strong stance. Texas can and should stand up for its farmers in Texas. But I want to emphasize the prior point that was made, which is we cannot be reliant on Mexico alone for water. And this is why I'd like to commend the efforts of Chair Perry, this committee, other members in the House that are looking at making sure we're making Texas-sized investments in water. We need an all-of-the-above approach that's desal, produce water, and looking to the future of water infrastructure. And this effort here today, I'd like to commend Senator Adam Hinojosa because this is certainly important, and we must double down on this. but we can't, even if we have the most dogged pursuit of reconciling this treaty, that's years and years and years before this truly comes to fruition. So I just want to emphasize and commend this committee for their efforts on continuing water issues. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have.